360 albums, Tourney. Matchup 4. We got two C's going against each other. Converge and Charley Crockett. We've got Charley Crockett's The Man from Waco against Jane Doe by Converge. We're going to start with Charley Crockett. I enjoyed this album. It reminded me of Johnny Cash at times, 1970s soundtracks. There were very interesting throwback country music sounds. Now, my buddy, the Pilgrim, Chapter 39, he told me it sounded like a Saturday Night Live parody of classic country music, and he doesn't care for it. But I do like it. I like the album quite a bit. But it didn't completely knock me off my feet, but songs like The Man from Waco and I'm Just a Clown, very catchy songs, get stuck in my head. And I'll revisit this album for sure. But this album is more like Basil Hayden bourbon. It's very approachable, it's very sippable. There's nothing offensive about it, it's good. But Jane Doe's album, or Jane Doe, the album by Converge, is more like Booker's. It's very harsh and abrasive and complex. It's like free jazz, but some sort of metal, hardcore. I don't know what you call it. Post-metal, post-hardcore. I don't know what Converge is. I don't know that they care. It's a super, super heavy album. It's so heavy, I'm going to go ahead and out myself here. There's times where it's too heavy for me. Driving to work this morning, I kept turning it down. And usually I'm all about the real heavy stuff. I mean, I listen to Obituary, Sepultura, Deicide on the way to work. But, you know, sometimes Converge, they can just fatigue me because there's so much energy. It's so heavy. Like 20 minutes in, if I'm not doing push-ups or shadow boxing or running, I got to get a break. I need to de-stress. Whereas the Charley Crockett album, I can listen to the whole thing over and over. So I really like it. You know, they got the song about the billboard. You know, I don't know if Charley Crockett is a parody. Clearly, parody bands don't bother me. And I love Wheeler Walker Jr. and The Lonely Island and Weird Al Yankovic. But I don't think it's a parody. I think he's serious, and I think it's interesting. I think he's going to have an interesting journey. I'm guessing he's probably from Texas, maybe the Austin area, and has some of those hipsters helping him out. All offense to hipsters, just own who you are. Most hipsters I know do, but it's got a hipster feel, and I'm going to check out more of his catalog. But he's not advancing. Converge's Jane Doe. I don't know why I keep mixing that up like I have auditory dyslexia. Converge's Jane Doe is going to advance to the round of 180. It's just too heavy, too complex, too interesting. One of the songs has Hell in the title. I was listening to it on the way home, and it sounds like a super heavy Nirvana or even Alice in Chains song. And then there's other ones that I feel like my face is peeling off. Kind of reminds me of some of the intensity of like Discordance Axis or Gridlink or something. So, also, one of the best album covers of anybody of all time. Jane Doe by Converge advances on. Let me know. You like Charley Crockett? Is he serious? I think he's serious. Pilgrim Chapter 39 doesn't. But, you know, I do have, I think there's 2, 3, or 4 Johnny Cash albums in the Tourney and Willie Nelson and I think Waylon Jennings. So there's going to be some traditional country representation, and Charley Crockett is not quite to the level of those performers. Not yet. Kind of like Todd Snyder, there were times where the musical styles kind of shifted. He's a bit of a chameleon in a good way, I do like Charley Crockett, and I recommend you check it out if you haven't heard it. I recommend that you haze me if I'm getting it all wrong. But my ears, my 360 albums journey has Converge's Jane Doe, not Jane Doe's Converge. Advancing on to the round of 180. Taste man, cheers.